Okay, so get ready to put your math skills to work to solve this interesting little math word problem. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and read the problem. It is the following. A TV and speakers cost $1,623.70. The TV costs double the speakers. How much do they each cost? Okay, so that is the question. Feel free to use a calculator, but if you can figure this out, go ahead and put your answer into the comment section. I'll share the correct answer in just 1 second. Then, of course, I'm going to solve this problem step by step. But before we get going, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is John, and I have been teaching middle and high school math for decades. And if you need assistance in mathematics, check out my math help program at tcmathacademy.com. You can find a link to that in the description below. And if this video helps you out, or if you just enjoy this content, make sure to like and subscribe, as that definitely helps me out. All right, so one more time, just so we're clear about the question, we are buying TVs and speakers, so we're going to have some awesome entertainment in our nice living room. So a TV and speakers cost $1,623.70. The TV costs double the speakers. How much do they each cost? Let's go and take a look at the answer. So here it is. The cost of the speakers is $541.23, and the cost of the TV is $1,082.46. Okay, so how did you do? Well, if you got this right, that is fantastic. Matter of fact, I have to give you a nice little happy face and A plus, a 100%, and multiple stars, so you can brag to your friends and family that indeed you can solve basic math word problems using algebra. Now, you may not have used algebra to solve this problem, but this is the perfect little problem to use algebra. And of course, I'm going to be using algebra to solve this problem. But I didn't indicate or I didn't state that this is an algebra word problem. I did that very specifically. I didn't say it was was not, or I didn't describe the problem as an algebra word problem because a lot of people they'll hear this word algebra and they'll be like, algebra, I can't do this problem because a lot of you could have solved this problem using another creative way, trial and error, whatever the case is. So never try or never give up or never think that you can't solve a problem where you get to the point of like, well, I'm not even going to try because this is too complicated for me. You should always try. So if you got this right and used another technique other than the one I'm going to show you here, that is even better. But I am going to show you how awesome algebra is and how easy a problem like this is to solve using algebra. So let's go ahead and get into it right now. Okay, so we have this TV and speakers. It cost this amount of money. The TV cost double the speakers. How much do they each cost? Okay, so again, we've already read this problem a couple of times, and you really do have to read prompt more than once to fully understand it. You should always use the rule of three. Okay, now what is the rule of three? The rule of three is you have to read a problem at least 3 times. Okay, this should just be a rule that you follow. Even if you understand the question, read it over and over again because if you read it at a minimum of 3 times, what happens is your brain kind of gets into gear and you oftentimes come up with a better strategy or you can stop yourself from being confused about something because math problems are known to confuse students. Math teachers are tricky in that way, so you really want to make sure you understand the question. But once you really have assimilated the information, what we need to do is model this problem. Okay, so how do we model a problem like this? Well, we have some unknown values. So we have a TV and a speaker, and we're like, well, how much do they each cost? Well, we don't know. So we need to maybe use a variable. Okay, so sometimes when you can't visualize a situation, like in other words, like a geometry problem where there's a circle or a rectangle, or a problem like this, we're going to have to let some sort of symbol represent these unknown values. And a good symbol to use is any common variable that we use in algebra, like x, y, z. So I'm going to use x to represent the cost of one of these items because you can see here we have a relationship between the TV and the speakers in terms of how much they cost, right? The TV costs double the speakers. So let's go ahead and let a variable x represent the cost of the speaker or the speakers because the TV, if it's doubled the cost of the speakers, well, the TV is going to cost 2x. Okay, so hopefully you can see where I'm going with this. So let's establish this. Now, when you're doing an algebra problem, let's suppose you're doing a homework problem, test, quiz, or exam, you're going to want to write things out in a way where your teacher or somebody else reading your work can understand what's going on. And even if it's not your teacher or someone else, you need to understand what you're doing. So after you do a problem, you can go back and review it and just kind of, read. And that's a good standard to follow. In other words, when you're writing out your math solution, you got to keep in mind, can someone else follow what I'm doing? Because if you can't communicate clearly in that manner, then you need to, modify the work. You don't have to modify your strategy. You might know exactly what you're doing, but communicate clearly in math. That's so important. So let's be very clear about this. So we're going to let x equal the cost of the speakers in dollars. Okay. So therefore, 2x is the cost of the TV in dollars. Now, why is that the case? Well, again, we have this little part of the problem. So the TV cost double the speakers. Okay, so the speakers are X, then the TV cost 2X. Now the total amount is how much? Well, it's $1623.70 dollars, and we're going to need that amount because we can't do anything here with these variables. In other words, we can't figure out what these variables are equal to unless we can build an equation. So in algebra or algebra word problems, it's very, very typical. They kind of work in very similar fashion. So what you're going to do is you're going to establish some variables to represent something, and then ultimately you need to build an equation, okay, from the information in the problem. Then you're going to solve that equation. Of course, the equation is going to involve the variables that you've represent the unknown values you're looking to solve for in your problem. Okay, so the total cost here of the TV and speakers is $1623.70. So here is our X is the cost of the speakers. Double the cost of the speakers is the TV. So this is our speakers, this is our TV. The total amount is this amount. So now it really comes down to your ability to solve this nice, lovely, basic linear equation. All right, now if you didn't understand the setup, no big deal. But let's see if you have the algebra skills to solve this equation. So if you want to pause the video and solve it, that's perfectly fine. But let's go ahead and take the next step, which of course is having you subscribe to my YouTube channel. I wouldn't ask if I didn't need your support. It doesn't make a difference that I've been on YouTube for over 10 years. I have well over 2,000 videos, probably like 2,500. This I don't even count because I post multiple times per day from basic math to advanced math like calculus and everything in between because I just love teaching mathematics. But I love teaching math because I love helping people, but I want to help as many people as possible. And the only way I can grow my reach to potential people that could benefit from my instruction is by people supporting me by just hitting that little tiny subscribe button. And if you're going to do that, might as well hit that notification bell as well so you get my latest videos. Thank you so much, and let's get back to this problem. And this problem is going to be pretty straightforward because all we have to do here is solve this basic linear equation. All right, so we have x plus 2x is equal to 1623.70. So x and 2x are what we call like terms. So we can add the coefficients. So this is a 1 here, here is a 2. So 1 plus 2 is 3. So we have 3x is equal to 1623.70. So how do we solve for x? Easy, we just divide both sides of the equation by 3. And again, use your calculator. You should never do a problem like this by hand. I'll just take your word for it that you know how to divide decimals. But we take 1,623.70, divide that by 3 in our calculator, and we get this number right here. X is equal to 541.23, more or less. So what does that represent? Well, again, remember we established way back over here what x is equal to. That's the cost of the speakers, and 2x is the cost of the TV. So all we have to do is just go ahead and delineate the actual answer. So x is the cost of the speakers. So the cost of the speakers is this amount, $541.23. and 2x is the cost of the TV. So all we're going to do is plug in this value for x, multiply it by 2, and we get $1,082.46. All right, so real basic type of algebra word problem, but don't feel discouraged if you didn't get this right. Now, what you need to do in order to get better at solving word problems is to practice, practice, practice. Now, I like word problems because, of course, I've been doing them for a long time. But word problems are basically an application of mathematics. So why learn math if you're not going to apply math to solve problems? So, I think if you don't like doing word problems, a lot of people, especially students, don't like algebra word problems. They get this kind of bad reputation. Well, what you want to do is make sure first you have the algebra skills before you start trying to solve word problems. In other words, know how to solve equations, understand what a variable is, etc., etc. So if you need help with any of this stuff, let me give you a couple quick suggestions. One, I have a ton of videos on all topics related to algebra on my YouTube channel to include a lot of algebra word problems. But if you really need formal instruction, and those of you out there that are struggling in math, you do need formal comprehensive instruction. Okay, that's just my little 2 cents. So check out my full courses. You can find links to those in the description. For this level of algebra, I would check out like my pre-algebra or algebra 1 courses. But some of you may not even be math students. You just maybe um, are interested in learning math. Maybe you had a tough time in school 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago, and you're like, I know I could have learned much better. Maybe you had a couple math teachers that were not so great, and that can happen, unfortunately. But if you want to see if you can learn math correctly the first time out, maybe it's just something that's been bothering you for many years, or maybe you just want to rebuild all those great math skills that you had years ago. Check out my new course. It's called Math Skills Rebuilder. I start from basic math, teach you algebra, teach you geometry, even some trigonometry, some probability and statistics. This is a great self-paced course for those of you that just might just love to use your time to do something with your brain, maybe like learning math. Okay, so with all that being said, I definitely wish you all the best in your mathematics adventures. Thank you for your time and have a great day.